I want to talk about waterborne pathogens. Those are basically the big term for all the bad boys that can get into water that make you sick. And there are basically four groups. I want to talk about those four groups. Two of those groups actually will end up talking about them together because there's crossover in them. And parasites is something that most people are kind of familiar with. When it comes to water and making you sick, they realize that parasites are in them that can make you sick. And then there's another group that's called protozoa. Now, these two kind of cross over. Protozoa basically are one-celled organisms, and so they are protozoa. Now there are certain protozoa that are also parasitic. And Giardia is one of the big boys that we all realize, people from the United States here, they'll go to Mexico and they'll drink some of the water and they'll end up getting Giardia. And Giardia will make them sick and they'll end up diarrhea and vomiting. And Giardia is a one-celled organism. And it is a parasite. Basically, it will attach itself to the little colon in the wall, and then it'll start reproducing, and then they will in turn attach themselves, and so you end up getting a colony of them started there, and they're basically chewing on your colon, and that's what makes you sick. And now there are parasites that are more than one cell, and so parasites is a group in itself because it includes those that are more than one cell. But then we got the protozoa, which are the one-celled organisms, and that is just a huge group in that they feel that there's about 30,000 different protozoa out there, and so that's just a huge group. And so these two together end up constituting most of the troubles that you can find in water that can make you sick. Now, not all protozoa are parasite. Not all of them will attach themselves, and some of them are free-ranging or free-roaming. Malaria is one of the protozoa that will free roam around your system. Most everybody, knows that you get those from mosquito bites, but you can also get it from drinking water that has the protozoa in it. And so malaria is a big one. So these two groups are huge. And then another group is the bacteria. And bacteria are out there, and they do their job that Mother Nature needs them to do, and that a lot of times they break things down, turn it back into usable products for the other growing plants and stuff to use. And so bacteria are useful for that, but there are certain bacteria that can get in us that can make us sick. And so bacteria is another group that ends up being in water, that's in the waterborne pathogens. Now, a lot of the backpackers, and even I, we have these ceramic water filters that we use, and most of the protozoa and the bacteria and the parasites are big enough that they don't fit through the small holes that are in the ceramic that the water goes through. But the last group is the viruses. Now, viruses are teeny tiny, and viruses can go right on through the holes that are in these water filters that you can get. And I have a thing that I have been dealing with for over 20 years, and the doctors at this point feel that I was up in Canada and I was using a water filter up there in a lake, and ended up having a virus come through, and I caught that virus. I haven't realized what kind it is or anything, but it ends up hitting my liver and my colon, and gives me mild hepatitis every winter. So I end up getting sick from it over and over and over again every year. And so I'm kind of fussy about water. And I do want to introduce this, then, that the water filters do not filter out viruses. And so there are different ways. Those are basically the 4 groups of waterborne pathogens. Now there are different ways that you can treat water. And a lot of backpackers and a lot of campers and stuff will take a water filter. And we already know that there can be a problem with that when it comes to viruses. There's also tablets you can get, chlorine tablets, which is bleach, and you can use those as well, and they work. But if you're getting water from an area that has limestone, then that causes troubles with the bleach or the chlorine doing its job. It dampens it quite a bit, and those areas that have limestone are just a lot of areas that have limestone. So you can get these iodine, and iodine works on most everything or a few things that it's a little weak in, and you can get that. Now both of those that you can get, they end up causing water to taste funny. And the one that I recommend, well, there's actually 2 of them that I recommend the most. The one is boiling, and when you get into a survival situation, a lot of times you ask the question, well, how do I boil water if I don't have a pan? Well, we talk about rock boiling, and you'll see that on the video there. We'll look at that and see how to do that. And another thing is really good is the gypsy well, because Mother Nature has the sand, and the sand is a very good filter, and it will filter all 4 of those bad boys. And so the gypsy well and the sip wells, they both work really well. And you don't have the problems with boiling, and that when you boil water, you end up boiling oxygen out. And so when you go to drink it, it tastes funny. Well, if you get 2 containers and pour it back and forth, a lot of times you can reoxygenate that water, and that'll be better then. So, but gypsy wells, it has it doesn't have those taste problems. It doesn't have the problems that the tablets do, and it's good clean water. So go check that out. That works really well. So waterborne pathogens, those are the ones that make you sick. There are 4 of them.